It's good to schedule your day as a Christian, and there are a lot of good things that you should include in your daily schedule as a Christian. Think about whether this is one of the good things to include. You can do this in the morning, at night, middle of the day. Let's say you get up in the morning, you check your phone, you go on social media, you find something that upsets you. It might be something kind of happening in the country or a social thing. It might be you see somebody on social media that you don't like and something good happened to them. And then you get jealous, you get upset, somebody you have a grudge against. And then you keep going, you keep scrolling, and you get more upset. And you start getting mad at people, and you start saying, why are the Democrats like this, and why are the Republicans like this, and why is America like this, and why is this country doing that? Why is this cousin of mine, why do they have that and I don't? So far, so good. You look at the way people dress, and you say, why is she dressing like that? Why is he acting that way? I thought he was married, why is he doing this? You start thinking about stuff like that. And then you judge them in your heart. And then you get up and brush your teeth. Then after you brush your teeth, you call your sister and you start talking about all the people that you saw on social media. You gossip about them. And then when you gossip about everybody else, you feel better about yourself, because at least you're better than those people. Is this a good thing for a Christian to do? I don't think so. I don't think you're hurting the people that you're mad at when you're mad at them. And you're not hurting the people that you judge when you judge them. And you're not hurting the people that you maybe gossip a little bit, you can hurt their reputation. You're not hurting them, and you're not even hurting like political figures or celebrities or whatever when you judge them or talk about them. You're hurting yourself. What happens to your heart when you spend an hour doing that, when you spend 10 minutes doing that? At the beginning of that process, what was your heart? And at the end, what did your heart become when you did all of that? Most of the gospel today that's assigned for this Sunday is about returning and becoming like children. Whoever does not receive a child like this in my name. That's the beginning of it. I just skipped to this part. But there's something related between those two topics. Have you seen how children sleep? I'm jealous of that. They just pass out. It's like nothing exists in the world except for their nap. It's beautiful. Why can't we do that? Because we just spent that hour making ourselves mad. How are you going to sleep after that? Well, all the junk that you put into your heart, that you caused to be in your heart because of what you thought about and what you did, yeah, of course you're not going to have the innocent and sort of simple heart that a child has, the peaceful, unburdened heart of a child, if that's how you spend your time. So Jesus says, okay, return and become like children, but this is how we do it. The gospel that I read today is how we do it. He wants our hearts to be unburdened with grudges, with anger, with judgment. He doesn't want that to be in our heart. So how do we get to that point? How do we arrive at that? If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. If he sins against you, if somebody did something to somebody else that has nothing to do with you, why are you burdening yourself thinking about it? If a celebrity said something that you don't like, what does that have to do with you? Why are you wasting 1 second of your time being upset about that? Who cares what any of these people think? People say time is money, right? You ever hear time is money? I don't think that's true at all. Time is way more valuable than money. Because you can get money back. But that 5 seconds you spent upset about some celebrity or some second cousin of yours and what they're doing and what they're saying, that 5 seconds you'll never get back. And that stain that you put on your heart for nothing. So if your brother sins again, okay, fine. I'm going to start to mind my own business. This is for you. You think we're helping anybody else? You think Christ cares about anything other than your heart? But if he sins against you, okay, now it does involve you. Now you're not just gossiping, which is 90% of the news is gossip, maybe more than that. And probably way more than that is what social media is. Okay, now it has to do with you. He sins against you. Sins. Not, I don't like the way he looked at me. I don't like how this person, you know what? I was invited to this baptism lunch and they seated me next to somebody no. You think is that a sin? They didn't think about this thing. Come on. That's how unforgiving you are to your family. Jesus doesn't say if your brother upsets you, if he offends you. He doesn't say that. He says if he sins against you. And again, if it's not a sin, grow up and let it go. Let's say it is a sin. Okay. And he sins against you. Not somebody that you know and somebody that you know, against you. You see how much it takes to make something your business? Do you see how much time you're going to have when you obey Christ? You're going to be able to go to Mass every day and then do a holy hour and then go to the gym and you're still going to have plenty of time. All you have to do is mind your own business. But let's say he sins and he sins against you. Then go, Jesus says, and tell him his fault. You go to him. And he says, by yourself, between you and him alone, he says. Well, I don't like confrontation. Okay, then let it go. Well, it's not worth it. It wasn't that big a deal that I have to go and confront some. Okay, then let it go. Then stop thinking about it. Then stop worrying about it. Then stop holding a grudge. For years, sometimes decades, I hear about grudges that happen between families. Because I don't like your lifestyle. You don't like mine. You did this thing that maybe you... Oh my gosh. If he sins against you, go and tell him. That could include, you're my brother, I'm watching you hurt yourself, and because I love you, okay, good. Absolutely go and talk to him. Go and talk to him. Don't call everybody else in your family and talk about what this one person did. You go to him alone and you talk to him. Person to person. Okay. And if he listens to you, you've gained your brother. Awesome. Problem solved. Don't think about it anymore. Move on with your life. This is about your heart being unburdened. If he doesn't listen, Jesus doesn't say, if he doesn't listen to you, then be mad at him for 20 years. No, if he doesn't listen, then take 2 or 3 along with you. Man, let's talk about confrontation, right? 2 or 3 along with you. And you have the conversation together. Hopefully it's loving. So that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. Jesus is just quoting the Old Testament. It's not just me, look, this is something, and here's the 2 or 3 witnesses, and we're coming to you. If he doesn't listen to them, tell it to the church. A lot of times people come to the church before they say anything else, before they even go and talk to that one person. No, that's step 3, not step 1. Then, okay, you bring it to the church. He doesn't listen to the church. Then, Jesus says, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector, meaning forget about him. Now, sometimes this is a hard thing to hear. If it's that serious of a sin that it's going to cause you to have a grudge, to hold something dark in your heart for years and years, and then every time you see this person, it makes you like your blood boil because it reminds you. You know what Jesus says in that scenario? After you've done all this stuff, and it really is a serious thing, Jesus says, okay, that's the situation where maybe you just need to cut them off. He talks about a brother. This is even within family. Okay. Why is that okay? Well, that's better than holding the bitterness in your heart. At least now you can kind of forget each other and move on, and at least you'll have some peace in your heart. And maybe, hopefully, you can keep praying for them, and they'll repent and turn back. But that relationship is not his main issue. The main concern of Jesus is your heart. Either do this, and if you get to the end, you treat them as a Gentile or a tax collector, which means you just move on with your life, or you forgive them without worrying about anything. You just let it go. Either way, your heart's not burdened. That's what he wants. That's what Christ is concerned with. And so, brothers and sisters, we hear the gospel today. We have these feelings. Sometimes we cause it to ourselves. Stay away from the stuff that's going to ignite this. You deserve better than that. You're not just an empty vessel to be receiving anger or bitterness or all of this judgmental. You don't need any of this in your heart. You're the temple of God. Your mind, your heart is where God is supposed to live. God who is a God of peace and who is a God of innocence.